The departure hall buzzed with the endless rhythm of rolling suitcases, boarding announcements, and hurried footsteps, but for one unforgettable moment, everything around 32-year-old Eliana Brooks seemed to disappear. She had come to the airport wearing her faded blue cardigan, simple jeans, and worn sneakers, carrying a small backpack while holding the tiny hand of her 7-year-old daughter, Ivy. She was exhausted after working 2 jobs, barely sleeping, and constantly worrying about rent, school supplies, and tomorrow's meals. She never imagined that among thousands of travelers, she would suddenly lock eyes with the one person she had spent years trying to forget. Standing only a few feet away was Nathan Carter, the young man who had once promised her forever before life pulled them onto different roads. His tailored charcoal suit, confident posture, and calm presence made him almost unrecognizable. She had no idea that the shy college student she once loved had become one of the country's youngest millionaire CEOs. In that frozen moment, old memories rushed back with painful force, and she silently wondered why fate had chosen this exact day to bring him back into her life. If you believe kindness and second chances can change lives, please take a moment to like this video, leave a comment sharing where you're watching from, share this story with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to Ripple of Kindness for more emotional stories that remind us that compassion never goes out of style. For nearly 8 years, Eliana's world had revolved around survival. After losing her husband in a tragic construction accident only 2 years into their marriage, she had become both mother and father to little Ivy. Every morning began before sunrise. She cleaned offices, delivered food during the afternoon, and worked evening shifts at a neighborhood grocery store whenever possible. Every dollar had a purpose, and every sacrifice was made for her daughter. There were nights when she skipped dinner so Ivy could have an extra serving. There were birthdays celebrated with homemade cupcakes instead of expensive gifts. Yet despite every hardship, Eliana never allowed bitterness to replace kindness. She smiled at strangers, helped elderly neighbors carry groceries, and taught Ivy that a person's wealth was measured by the love they shared rather than the money they owned. The airport trip itself had been unexpected. Eliana had saved for months to buy 2 discounted tickets after learning that her elderly mother had fallen ill in another state. Missing work meant losing income she desperately needed, but family came first. Even while standing in line to check in, she worried about unpaid bills waiting at home. Her phone displayed overdue payment reminders, and the cracked screen reflected the stress she carried every day. She felt invisible among business travelers dressed in expensive clothes, but Ivy happily watched airplanes through the giant windows, reminding Eliana that children often found joy where adults only saw problems. Nathan Carter had entered the terminal surrounded by assistants, yet his attention drifted away from business meetings the instant he noticed Eliana. He had spent years wondering what had become of the woman who had believed in him long before success arrived. Back then, he had been an engineering student with impossible dreams and empty pockets. Circumstances beyond their control had separated them. Family obligations, financial struggles, and painful misunderstandings had ended their relationship without either of them truly wanting it to end. Nathan had poured his heartbreak into building a technology company, working endless hours until it grew into a global success. The magazines celebrated his achievements, but none of them knew that the greatest chapter of his heart had been left unfinished years earlier. As boarding delays stretched longer, fate continued pushing their paths together. Ivy accidentally dropped her favorite stuffed rabbit near the waiting area, and before Eliana could reach it, Nathan quietly picked it up. The little girl thanked him with the innocent smile only children possess. Nathan returned the toy and noticed how carefully it had been stitched together multiple times. It was obvious that replacing it had never been financially possible, yet it was loved enough to be repaired again and again. That simple detail revealed more about Eliana's life than any conversation could have. When weather conditions delayed every departing flight, passengers found themselves waiting for hours. Without planning it, Eliana and Nathan ended up sitting several seats apart. Time slowly dissolved the awkward silence. They spoke about the years that had passed, the dreams they once shared, and the unexpected turns life had taken. Nathan learned about the heartbreaking loss of Eliana's husband and the endless sacrifices she had made raising Ivy alone. Eliana learned that Nathan had built a company employing thousands of people, yet still lived with the regret of never saying a proper goodbye. Neither blamed the other anymore. Time had replaced anger with understanding. As afternoon sunlight poured through the massive airport windows, Nathan quietly watched Eliana helping an elderly traveler lift a heavy suitcase despite clearly being exhausted herself. She expected nothing in return. That simple act reminded him exactly why he had fallen in love with her years ago. Success had introduced him to powerful investors, celebrities, and influential leaders, but genuine kindness remained far rarer than wealth. Hours later, another unexpected challenge appeared. Eliana discovered that her connecting flight had been cancelled entirely due to severe weather, and the airline's remaining seats for the next day required fees she simply could not afford. She tried hiding her panic from Ivy, forcing a smile while silently calculating impossible numbers in her head. Missing another workday would leave her unable to pay rent. Returning home meant abandoning her sick mother when she needed family the most. Nathan observed the growing worry on her face without making her feel embarrassed. Instead of offering charity, he respectfully contacted airline representatives through his travel team and arranged alternative seats available on another route without revealing how easily he could influence the situation. He ensured Eliana and Ivy could continue their journey safely while allowing her dignity to remain intact. When she gratefully thanked the airline staff, believing it had simply been an unexpected act of customer service, Nathan quietly smiled from a distance. The experience reminded Eliana that kindness often arrived through strangers whose names we never learned. Meanwhile, Nathan realized that no amount of financial success could replace the happiness found in helping someone without expecting recognition. As they finally boarded the new flight together, Ivy happily sat beside the window pointing excitedly at the planes outside. She innocently asked whether grown-ups could become friends again after many years apart. Her simple question lingered in both adults' hearts long after the engines began to roar. During the journey, Nathan reflected on everything Eliana had overcome. She had never chased luxury or status. She had simply fought every single day to give her daughter a better future. That quiet courage inspired him more deeply than any business achievement ever could. By the time they landed, he had made a decision that would change many lives. Rather than offering financial gifts, he invited Eliana to interview for a community outreach leadership position within his company, a role created to support struggling families and educational programs. He believed nobody understood compassion better than someone who had lived through hardship with grace. Several weeks later, Eliana walked into the company's headquarters not as someone seeking charity but as a capable professional whose resilience had become her greatest qualification. Her natural empathy transformed community projects, helping hundreds of struggling parents find hope, employment opportunities, childcare support, and educational resources. Employees admired her sincerity, and Nathan proudly watched her confidence return after years of believing life had forgotten her. Most importantly, little Ivy finally saw her mother smile without hiding exhaustion behind it. Their small apartment slowly became a warm home filled with laughter instead of constant worry. Eliana never forgot where she came from, and every opportunity she received became another chance to lift someone else. Nathan also discovered that true success was never measured by company profits but by the number of lives improved through compassion. If this story has touched your heart, please like this video, leave a heartfelt comment, share it with your family and friends, and subscribe to Ripple of Kindness so more people can discover stories that inspire hope and remind us that kindness always finds its way back. Special request. Before this story ends, please comment, "Kindness always comes back," if you believe every act of compassion creates a ripple that can change someone's life forever. As Eliana looked through the large office window one bright afternoon, watching people walk confidently toward new opportunities, she realized that airports are more than places where flights begin. Sometimes they become the unexpected crossroads where broken dreams meet second chances, old love finds healing instead of regret, and hope quietly boards the next flight toward a brighter tomorrow. Some reunions are not meant to rewrite the past. They are meant to prove that even after years of hardship, kindness, resilience, and love can still guide ordinary people toward extraordinary new beginnings.